Hi, I'm Taylor Dill, and I'm the PhD student for Battle for the Belt. And today we're out here with Dr. Kelley Tilmon. And what's your position, Kelley?
I am the field crop entomologist at Ohio State University.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us. We're out in the Battle for the Belt soybean plots today, and we were wondering what we should be looking for management purposes in July. What kind of insects do we need to look out for?
The main concern in soybean in July is defoliating insects. So basically any type of insect that chews holes in the leaves. And there's a whole bunch of different caterpillar species that can do that, sometimes grasshoppers, especially in dry weather. And so it could be a lot of different things, but July is the big time for defoliation.
Okay, so I do have a question about defoliation. When a farmer is out scouting, is it more important to know what insect is causing defoliation, or just your levels of defoliation?
It's actually much more useful and practical, really, to assess the overall level of defoliation. That's because it could be a lot of different things. It could be a lot of different things acting together. And so trying to apply individual thresholds for different species isn't really practical. So we suggest people try to diagnose defoliation percent, and that's hard to eyeball. I really recommend you Google a visual guide to defoliation in soybean, something like that. You'll find a bunch of options come up. And we tell people to be concerned if their overall defoliation, this is across the field, not just on the ratty borders, is in up through the bloom stage if it's at 30%, and after bloom about 10 to 15%. Those are the points where we recommend action if the insects are still present.
Okay, so after the bloom stage is over, do you normally see any issues? Is spraying past that point usually a big deal, or?
It doesn't come up a lot. I think people tend to see defoliation, panic a little bit, and spray when they don't need to, which is why we really want you to get that guide, because it's a really hard thing to eyeball. From bloom through the R5 stage, we have 10 to 15% defoliation threshold, and you can see defoliation in early August that's meaningful. So July is when it starts, August is when it finishes up.
Okay, and so for the defoliation guide, you've made a defoliation guide, yes? And so we can access that on your website?
aginsects.osu.edu, or just Google Ag Insects Ohio, and you'll get right to our page that has a lot of management information in various crops.
Awesome. Thank you. And then this year we've had a lot of late planted soybeans.
Yeah.
How should we go about managing something that's late planted or that'll be late maturing this year?
So that's a really interesting question, and I'm actually a little concerned and interested to see what happens this year with so many late maturing varieties and late planted late maturing things. And that's because there are certain insect pests that will congregate in the fields that are still green as other fields are drying down. So if you have some normal or early planted beans, and then you have those fields that were late planted and they're still green in the middle of September, they're still juicy, you're going to get certain things really like leaving where they are and coming in. And you can see a lot of, in particular, bean leaf beetle damage on feeding on pods in your late maturing varieties. So we're keeping an eye on that. Also, stink bugs will start to leave fields that are drying down and move into what's green. And they feed directly on the seeds and can also cause a pretty substantial amount of damage if they're congregating in a field.
Okay, so you think keep an eye out on the late maturing varieties as we get into late August and September to see if there's anything meaningful to be able to maybe need to go knock out?
Might be fine, or they might be magnets for everything that left your other fields or your neighbor's fields, so worth keeping an eye on.
Okay, and so when we're out scouting, if I'm scouting a farmer's field, how many stops do you think I should make? How might we look at those?
So it depends what insect you're interested in. I recommend taking a first gander through the field and just looking at what's there. If you've got bean leaf beetles, you're going to make one set of decisions. If you're going to be more concerned about stink bugs you're seeing, that's another set of conditions. And I really, it's kind of hard to keep these numbers in your mind, particularly since it's going to be later in the season. So if you are seeing bean leaf beetles and stink bugs, I really recommend you just quickly Google that Ag Insects so that you can get the current threshold recommendations.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you so much for your time,
Pleasure.
Dr. Tilmon.